But I think each one has a consequence.
Everything has a consequence. Everything has a consequence. Good choices, bad choices. It's like when people say, but you need to look at life with a glass half full and not half empty. And I tell you, well, my friend, life is half empty, half full.
Yeah.
So everything has choices. All the choices that you make have consequences. Okay? So, organized role models, functional competence development. This Clutterbuck, David Clutterbuck, is one of the major scholars who's been studying mentoring over the past 30, 40 years. Maitre is a project that developed the competency framework for a good mentor, which we're going to see shortly. Relation and mentoring techniques, because some of us have an active listening skill that is innate, that is in everyone's nature. Some of us need to improve. We need to go to the gym to train it. So, content and relationship. Two major characteristics, two major features of a mentoring project. What do you support learning, and how? What and how? Again, what and how? We skip the who because we already know. So what do you support learning? How do you help learn? And now we're going to watch two scenes from two different movies, very different from each other. The first one is very familiar to Divan because it's Invictus. Invictus is a movie, wonderful movie with Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon, that tells the story of the 1995 Rugby World Championship that was held in South Africa, in a new South Africa, out of apartheid, where Nelson Mandela was nominated president of the nation, and François Pienaar was the captain of the rugby team. As you probably know, rugby in South Africa is an elite sport. It's a sport for white people. So it was seen as, something iffy, a little bit. So the scene is about Mandela and Pienaar who meet, and I would like you to observe what happens in terms of what the mentor supports learning and how the relationship is built.
So beyond the ability.
But how did Mandela start?
The what?
What is your style of leadership, François? François, not Mr. Pienaar, François. Who was the mentor here? Who was the mentor? Mandela. Who was the mentee? Okay, so how did Mandela start? With a question? François. So he immediately leveled the relationship. I mean, if you had to meet the president of your nation, would you be scared? Like, would you be... And instead, you meet somebody who immediately calls by your name. How confident, how easy can it be? How could you be put in such a, more relaxed position? And then, what happens? Anything else you noticed?
How do we inspire greatness?
How do we go beyond our own limits? So these are all the questions that he prompts. And are there any similarities between the two of them?
Yeah, like Mandela was a little bit mirroring the François, like with taking inspiration from a song or something that François first said, okay, I put like a song so we can all listen. And they're like, yeah, I also have like this type of thing, so yeah.
So the level is the same, the level of confidence, the level of informality, One is the leader of a nation, the other one is the leader of a team. So they have something in common. And it's Mandela who prompts questions to Pinar. Because Mandela wants to know what? Something that we all need to know, that we all should know. Another point of view. How richer do we feel when we have other points of view, when we are stuck in a situation and we need other points of view to grow, to see a different perspective. Was there a barrier between them? Did you notice?
No, Mandela sits beside him at the same level.
And then what
And
happens?
to take tea, maybe it's something very...
Like it was a table between them, but then he stood up and went
When did he stand up?
talking about like a similar experience.
Yeah.
So when he learned, he had... so it was not the mentee who broke the barrier, it was the mentor who made the mentee feel at ease. This is something all mentors, it's up to us to create that level of informality, of confidence, that puts us in the position of having the maximum level of confidentiality, of trust with our mentee. We need to find, and it's not one size fits all. That's the beauty of the complexity of this role. It's not that what works for Sara as my mentee will work for Benedetta. Sara, maybe she wants me to call Miss Casano. Benedetta wants to call me Ale. It's different. This is why, again, it's so complex. Because it can change every time. So what's the learning content here in this video? What are they talking about?
How to inspire the team.
Inspiration, leadership, leadership. Asked from the president of a nation.
The coach.
Yeah? Okay. Do you find it useful? Just to understand, the kind of relationship that is developed through mentoring. And how? Same level. Listening. At a certain point, what does Mandela say? You're not here to listen to the stories of an old man. He's an old man. Mandela is an old man, after all, no? So he's naked. He's naked as a human before Pinar. Because that's what we are. This is why we go beyond our professional role. We act in a professional context, but we are humanized. We use our human stories to positively influence a professional environment. Okay?
Including failures.
Mostly failures. Mandela spent 27 years in prison. But he stood up. It's how you deal with that failure that makes you a good mentor. It's the story you take out of it. It's the story of that failure, how you dealt with that failure that leads you to who you are. There's not only work in their lives. And this gap is creating a lot of problems, a lot of toxic environments. So how do we bridge the gap? Through mutual learning. The senior, through a relationship with the junior, might also understand that I have neglected my kids for 20 years because of work. Maybe it's time that I should start thinking of spending quality time with them. How powerful is it? You actually change your approach, your mindset. towards a particular issue that you cannot deal with. You find your own way by finding good examples that will facilitate finding solutions. Yes? Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
please forgive me. Scenario, right? So the reason why the mentee chooses the mentor first is so that they have the motivation to learn. They are interested in learning from this person, they are impressed enough, they believe this person can add value. But there are some rare cases where the mentee has a material motive. Maybe the mentor is a CEO of a big company and they hope, oh, this person might be able to employ me. But they're not really interested in learning. They just want that network. And it will show after a while, how does the mentor manage something like that?
Okay, very good question. Thank you, Frank. So, first of all, it can be an informal mentoring. If I, as mentee, want to approach a CEO, it might not be the case of like this project, of a formal mentoring project. I just approach him because I want something from that person. This is the case for an informal mentoring relation. And the CEO can accept or not, because it's a mutual relationship. So, okay, am I willing to, as a CEO, am I willing to invest my time in guiding that guy? That's the American approach, the guardian and the protégé.
Yeah.
In fact, in America, the mentee is called the protégé, because it's like somebody I take under my wing to accompany him so that when I retire, that person will follow me. But that's not pure mentoring in the European way, the way we intend it, okay? If in a formal mentoring project, this situation happens, it's again the beginning of the building of relationship that helps us understand what the roles and responsibilities and boundaries are.
Yeah.
The CEO will clearly say, I'm gonna mentor you, but don't expect me to find a job for you. Clear expectations, guys. Okay, so what are these? The helping to learn dimensions. So, the mentor has a multitude of roles that we need to cover. And these roles are grouped in 4 major areas, the 4 quadrants, developed by David Clutterbuck, who's one of the most prominent scholars on mentoring. So, what did he try to categorize? The fact that there are 2 stretches, so there are 2 lines along which the role of the mentor moves. One is more directive, and one is the opposite is non-directive. The one is nurturing the emotional needs. The other one on the other side is stretching the behavioral needs. So, for example, based on these 2 lines, there are 4 different roles in which the mentor moves, dances. There's the counseling, so the fact that the mentor needs to actively listen to his mentees. He's an active listener, he's a counselor, he empathizes with the mentee. And this is non-directive because I don't tell you what to do. Okay? I'm just listening to you, listening to your needs, help you identify what results you want to achieve. And this is nurturing your emotional needs. So non-directive, nurturing is counseling. But we're not counselors. We're not dealing with anything psychological. We listen. So there's a psychological aspect of the relationship, of course, because we're not cold-hearted, cold-blooded. We listen to the issue. But managing those issues is another story. the guiding is the mentoring. So I guide you to find your way through by telling you my experiences. And I want to stress the importance of putting things, setting things straight at the very beginning of your relationship. And in fact, you have a pact, you have an agreement, a mentorship agreement that you seal between mentor and mentee. At the beginning, you have a gentleman's agreement that deals with all the aspects related to your mentoring relationship. For example, we're gonna feel so confident, we're gonna have such mutual trust that we can share experiences that go beyond the professional environment. And in this project, there's a lot of personal issues that are involved. The way we grow up, the way the family made us feel, for example, the way school helped us in reaching our goals or not. So again, Clara, this is something you and the mentee can decide. But generally, our professional life our personal life is very much involved in the professional life, and vice versa, the other way around. If we suffer at home, our suffering, we bring it to work, and the other way around. If we work in a toxic environment, we don't function well at home. So the two things cannot be divided. We're not silos. So of course, in my personal experience, when I mentor a young woman or a young man, I need to ask them at some point, in your career, do you guys want a family? From the coaching as a professional methodology, because it's like, okay, I want to run a marathon, and as your mentor, I already ran a marathon. So in traditional coaching, I'm simply telling you that you need to train at least 3 times a week, that you need to run 5, 6, 7 kilometers, and then you increase, and then you run, and then you do that, and then you eat healthy food, blah, 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 blah. That's traditional coaching, because this is what you need to do. And in fact, it's directive, and it stretches, it challenges you for your non-emotional needs, but rather for your knowledge skills, your practical skills. Networking. I want to become a carpenter. Really? I know a friend of mine whose son is a carpenter. I can put you in contact. So bridging, supporting your mentee to expand his network, to find other opportunities. Without being the person who, accompanies you all the way, but, this is his number. It's up to you to call him. So, non-directive, but nurturing your stretching needs rather than your emotional needs. Yes. And what can inspire us are what? Stories of people who made it. Have you ever read the story of the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken? He was a loser until 7 years old. Loser defined by our society, but he built a lot of experiences. He changed a lot of jobs, and ultimately he figured out that he was good at doing one thing: frying chicken. Aha, the illumination. He started frying chicken and became a millionaire. Maybe because somebody throughout his life told him, you want to fry chicken? No, that's something that, stupid people do. Or something like that. But if you embrace your nature, if you tell your mentees to embrace your passions, because ultimately we live on passions. And if we don't, we're gonna crash on a wall and find out that this is not what we wanted. So again, how would you destroy a person's life if you allow him to think the way he wants? by asking him questions and by nurturing his own self-consciousness, you can do no harm.